Hi, welcome to Copenhagen. Thanks for dropping in if you're watching replay. So, today I'm working on Batman from Diamond Art Club, and don't have too much to go now. Today is a bit different because this is the first time that I have done a live stream while having COVID. I got the confirmation message this morning that it is positive. So that is why my voice sounds a bit different. I've been coughing, sneezing, sniffing, blowing my nose, all that good stuff. Hi Nancy. Hopefully this works. I actually tried this earlier. What I've done is I'm using my mobile phone as a hotspot, so I'm not using our internet connection. So I want to see if it works using the hotspot. And it did this morning until the connection for some reason jumped from the hotspot to our normal internet connection. And as soon as it did that, I had the usual problems. In fact, I had more problems than normal. What is the colour of brown? Do you want to take a guess while I look it up? That's a very random question. Mm, 3799 says Nancy. It is actually 3860. So you were close. So yeah, the connection switched from the hotspot back to a normal connection, and I had the same problem. The difference this time is when I closed it down, it still looked as if I was live. I switched off the laptop, went onto my old laptop and checked it, and I was still live. 30 minutes later, I was still live, even though the computer was switched off. So I got in touch with YouTube, and while they were trying to figure an answer, I did a refresh and it had closed. But it took more than 30 minutes, which was annoying for me because I thought people think I'm live, they might be dropping in, and all they saw was this, just a hand like that, not moving, but it said live. So I decided to try again with the hotspot because it seemed to work, and I have plenty of data, so that isn't an issue. When I used to do the walks around Copenhagen, I live streamed for quite a long time, so I got the package with a lot of data. I have been planning to do some live YouTube stuff out and about in Copenhagen, but I was sort of waiting on the weather getting a bit better, which it is now. And now I've got COVID, so I'm self-isolating, so I'm not going very far. So we'll see how the weather goes, but maybe not this weekend coming, but the weekend after, I might go out and do some stuff in Copenhagen, let people see the city. But it depends on the weather. So I don't know how much longer I've got. now that I've got a few days off, and I mean, I've got flu-like symptoms, but not bad. I mean, I've had flu before that was worse. I've got the achy joints, the cough, the runny nose, all that stuff. But it's not that bad. But because I work in a hotel and I handle like plates and cups and cutlery and stuff, probably not a good idea to go to work. So I don't think they're expecting to see me again until next week. So I'll try and get stuck into this and get it finished, maybe, because I'm looking forward to doing the next one, which is called Praying Monk. As soon as I saw that one, I thought, yeah, I like that. It's a sort of stained glass look. Looks pretty cool. Hopefully the diamond painting looks pretty cool as well. I think it's resin drills for that one. I can't remember the size. It's smaller than this anyway. This is, what is this? 70 by 90, this one. Is the connection okay, Nancy? Is it behaving itself? Are you getting sound and video? The problem I've got is I don't know when it goes wrong. So I sort of rely on people letting me know. I think I'll switch over to the other side and fill this bit in. I thought my cough was going away, but it seems to be coming back. It's that really irritating tickle right at the back of your throat. You can't help coughing. So another colour down. A lot of brown in this section. Makes a change from black. So a very, very quiet audience. As far as I can see, there are 3 people watching. So I'm just curious, where in the world are you 3 people? Is anybody in Denmark? Oops. Concentrate. That's better. Good morning, Don. Thanks for dropping in. How is the weather in Florida? That's a silly question. The weather in Copenhagen is actually quite nice today. 14 degrees Celsius at 2:46 p.m. But blue skies and sunny, which is nice. It's always sunny in Florida, isn't it? .21. That's my perfect temperature. 21. Do you not get bored with all that sunshine? You have to excuse the coughs and sniffs and sneezes. It was confirmed this morning that I have COVID, so that's why my voice is a bit rough and I'm coughing a lot. You never get bored of the sun. You should try living in Denmark. You don't see the sun for 4 months of the year. Oops. And sometimes it gets so cold here that the sea freezes. I bet that doesn't happen in Florida. Yeah, a lot of I'm in an expats group on Facebook for people who moved to Denmark, and quite a few people say that they start to feel ill in the wintertime because they're not getting as much sun. It's typically people from very sunny areas. So it doesn't bother me because I'm originally from Scotland and we get about the same. In the wintertime, it's dark from about 2 p.m. until about maybe 10 a.m. in the winter. It gets a bit colder in Denmark. Hi, Marissa. 25. A real feel of see, that's too hot for me. Yeah, you get really heavy rain, don't you, Marissa? Like monsoons or typhoons, whatever they call them. Monsoons. Like really heavy downpours, even though it's hot. Or is that somewhere else I'm thinking about? In Scotland, the rain is warmer. That's the difference. Rains a lot in Scotland. Yeah, air conditioning. That's an unknown in Scotland and Denmark. Hi, Chantel. Yeah, I do. I have COVID. PCR test result came in this morning. Oh, hurricanes. Yeah, we don't have to worry about anything like that. It sometimes gets a bit windy. Like sometimes quite windy, like trees get blown down and tiles get blown off roofs and stuff like that. But nothing major, like nothing like a hurricane or anything like that. I'm not that bad, Chantel. It's just like the flu. Um, just sort of achy joints, coughing, sneezing, runny nose, temperature's been a bit weird though. Sometimes I feel really hot and then it just goes back to normal again. It's been doing that quite a bit. But still well enough to diamond paint. So it's given me a chance to get stuck into this Batman. This is the sort of last leg now. I've got this section here. Once I finish that, this section up here is the same size, and that's me up to the top of the picture. So it's basically 2 sheets. So I've got about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 counting this one. Yeah, still well enough to diamond paint. I mean, I've had flu before where basically I couldn't get out of bed, so thankfully it's not like that. But I do keep coughing. It was worse last night though. Thanks, Don. According to the authorities in Denmark now, you should self-isolate for 4 days after you've been confirmed. 4 days, and then if you have no symptoms, 4 days. If you do have symptoms, 4 days. If you still have symptoms, stay in. If they're mild symptoms, you can go back out into society again. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't think my work are expecting to see me this week, so it gives me a bit extra. So I should definitely be fine by Monday. 3 in a row. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty scary. We don't get anything like that. So sometimes we get things like, well, like power lines coming down in some places, but the wind speeds aren't like crazy and all like that. It's just probably old equipment that can't handle the wind blowing it about a bit. Now I forgot what I was doing. That's normal. That's got nothing to do with COVID. Thanks, Chantel. I was doing pluses. I finished them. That's why I can't see them. So what projects is everybody working on at the moment? Anybody not doing Diamond Art Club? 2000? Oh, that's quite a long time. Hi Jess, thanks for dropping in. How are you? Says he, coughing. Yeah. Well, this is Diamond Art Club. This is Batman. The next one isn't going to be Diamond Art Club, but I'm going to be doing an unboxing of a Diamond Art Club as soon as I'm feeling a bit better. Thanks, Jess. I've got COVID, actually. So, yeah. I got the PCR test results this morning, so I am positive. So I'm self-isolating in the diamond painting studio. It's a hard life. Do you ever look at lists for numbers and you just can't see it? Thanks, Jess. Yeah, I'm all I'm doing is diamond painting. That's it. And coughing. It's really hard. I mean, I have to just send a message to Tammy and ask her to make me a cup of tea and that sort of thing. Yeah, but I mean, it shows that it isn't, well, for me anyway, it isn't that bad. I mean, I have had flu in the past where I couldn't get out of bed. I wouldn't have been interested in doing this. I just feel achy, like sort of typical mild, I would say mild flu symptoms. Achy joints, aching muscles, runny nose, coughing, temperature going up and down like a yo-yo. But apart from that, I feel okay. Craftably. I don't know if I've got any. This is what happens when you buy things and keep buying things. Craftably, I can't remember. It vaguely rings a bell. I don't know if I just looked, but I didn't buy anything. Or if I bought something and it was so long ago, I can't remember. Yeah, well, I had flu, but I mean, it was bad enough that I couldn't get out of bed, but it wasn't bad enough that I ended up in hospital. This year isn't, just thinking about it, this year isn't actually going that well for me. Um, on the 28th of February, I had a stroke, and I've really just, last week was my first week back at work where I was working a full 8-hour shift 5 days a week. So I get back to work after a stroke and then I catch COVID and I'm back off again. Not the best start to 2022. Yeah, yeah, that was a bit of a story. I actually had a blood clot in my brain for about 4 days before they found out what it was. The initial doctor that I went to decided it was a trapped nerve somewhere, and I ended up going to my own doctor. That was the emergency doctor. Yeah, it was a stroke. Um, I went to my own doctor, and they weren't sure. The two doctors were sort of talking about it, and they decided to send me to the hospital, which is actually very, very close to here. Um, b- because they weren't sure what it was because the symptoms were quite mild. I had tingling in my face, and I couldn't really move my little finger on my right hand side, and I had sort of numb sensations. So they sent me to the hospital, and I was examined by two neurologists, and they still weren't really sure. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. It was only the pinky, and it was my right hand, which is bad because if it had been like my whole hand got like couldn't move it, I wouldn't be able to diamond paint. But it was just the pinky. But I had tingling in the right hand side of my face and just feelings of lightheadedness and not dizzy, weird. So they decided to admit me to hospital, and I got an MRI scan, a CT scan, and ultrasound. So they did all of that, and they came back and they said, "Okay, we've found out what the problem is. You've got a blood clot in the left side of your brain." I'd had it for like 3 or 4 days, so they gave me blood thinning medicine, like a heavy dose. And what they were hoping was that that would basically break the clot, and that is what happened. So, because if it hadn't, they would have had to operate. So thankfully they didn't. So I was off work for about a week, and then they said, when I asked them about going back to work, they said, just take it easy. See if you can go in a few hours a day at first and then gradually build it up, because you'll get tired. Because they said that the part of the brain that had been damaged will not repair. So what happens is I think they're called synapses in your brain start to rewire themselves basically to try and fix the problem, but the part that was damaged can't repair. So they said when that's happening, you'll find that you get tired quickly, because your brain is busy trying to make sense of this and trying to fix it, and it's doing all the normal stuff as well. So yeah, so I was off for a week, and then I went back and I worked 3 days a week doing 4 hours, and I had been working 12-hour shifts up till then. So I thought, yeah, 4 hours, that's nothing. I'd been in there a bit of time and I was starting to feel really tired, and I looked at the clock and I'd only been in for 2 hours. I couldn't believe it. So it definitely did make me tired. Not sleepy tired, just tired as in no energy. So I did that for, can't remember, 2 weeks. I did 4 hours, 3 days a week. And then I stepped it up to 6 hours, and then I stepped it up to 8 hours. So last week was my first like full week, Monday to Friday, 8 hours. And then I started to feel not too good on Sunday night. I thought it was just the flu. But then I thought I'd better get tested, and turns out it's COVID. But I'm on blood thinners, blood thinning medication for the rest of my life now because of the stroke, and um, I always forget the name of it. I forgot it again. Cholesterol, that's it. I'm on cholesterol pills as well to reduce the cholesterol. My cholesterol reading was 5.3, and they said the normal reading would be about 5. And they said normally 5.3 they wouldn't really bother about it, but because I'd had a stroke, they like to see the cholesterol level down to 3. So I have to take medication to get it that low. But that's working. So I got a blood test and my cholesterol is 3. So everything's going okay so far. We'll move in. I think I'll do the good old 310, get that done. Yeah, it was pretty scary, Don. It's just like I was actually at work when it happened. Just everything's just a normal day, and then suddenly you start feeling weird, and then you end up at hospital eventually, and they tell you you've got a blood clot in your brain. But after saying that, considering what it was and where it was, I was very, very lucky. Hi, Jean. I think I've fixed my connection problem. I'm running it as a hotspot from my mobile phone, so I'm not using our internet. I don't know why, but I think it's our internet that's been causing all these problems. So hopefully I've figured a way around it. I did a live earlier, and the connection somehow managed to jump from hotspot back to the network, and I had the usual problems. And then it ended up, it was sitting live, even though the computer was switched off. I could see, I went on my old laptop and I could see that it was still live. So I got in touch with YouTube and asked them if they could just delete it or shut it down. So a lot of questions back and forward, and eventually I did a refresh and it had closed itself, but I think it was sitting as live for over 30 minutes, which is annoying because people would drop in, they try to talk to me, and I'm not there. He just got out. School's out for spring. Yeah, the connection, yeah, it's running from a mobile phone, so the mobile connection in Copenhagen is really good. I used to do a lot of live streams wandering around Copenhagen, letting people see the city and just talking about different things. And I always had a really good connection, really fast, so quite lucky with that. So shouldn't have any problems. I should be able to go live now without wondering when it was going to crash. Now I need to figure out why our internet connection isn't working. Works fine for all the Netflix stuff and HBO and all that. Nobody ever has any problems, but it's just every time I try and live stream, the connection just drops. I don't know why. So I've got some ideas of going into Copenhagen and letting people see, excuse me, Hans Christian Andersen's statue that I took a picture of and did a custom. I think I'll maybe go in there and let people see it. And then, I did a custom of Newtown, probably the most visited part of Copenhagen now. Used to be a very, very rough area, but now it's a very trendy area. A lot of restaurants and things. Really nice. You can go canal trips and stuff from there. So I took a picture of that a few years ago and got that converted into a diamond painting. So I'm still sort of tying diamond painting in. But there's a lot of things to see in Copenhagen. I think people would be interested. So I'll try that at some point. The the main problem that I've got doing that is doing live is the time difference, because most people that watch me on YouTube are in America. And if I went out and did a live stream in the morning in Copenhagen, it would be the middle of the night for you. So I need to try and figure a time that's better for more people. So I was sort of swirling about maybe going and just doing it as a video. Or But the thing is, I used to do the live streams on an app called Periscope, and I got to know a lot of people through it, and it was always live. It was always like live video. So I would find I would start getting the same people coming in, the same as here. I'm getting to know people. I get some people come in a lot, and I get to know them, and I enjoyed that with Periscope. So um, the problem is I can't be there when it suits everybody, sort of thing. So I thought, should I just do it as a recorded video and then post it as a video? But then I miss the sort of interaction. And that was the thing that I really enjoyed doing Periscope. So I don't know. Canada, what's the time difference? It's 3:10, 10 minutes after 3 in Copenhagen just now. And this is the other thing, I can never remember. Oh, time differences. America, I tend to think between 6 and 8 hours time difference. And the thing is, early in the morning is the best time to wander around Copenhagen. You don't have, especially once we get into tourist season. Yeah, okay, so 9:10. So that's what, 6 hours? Yeah, you're 6 hours. I found that in Periscope, 6 hours seemed to be about it. So I had to calculate, okay, if I go out and well, we called it a scope from Periscope. If I went out and did a scope, I had to think, well, okay, most people are 6 hours behind me, so what time would be? I tended to try and do them at weekends, especially Sundays when people tend to not be doing much. And I would try and aim it for maybe 9 o'clock on a Sunday for America. Well, I would just class 6 hours, that's America, roughly. But I can't always guarantee when I'm going to be going, when it suits me, sort of thing, as well. And the weather. It's really bad weather. It's not much fun walking about. But yeah, there's a lot of things to see. A lot of things that I can let people see that aren't on the tourist lists. Like we've got a hospital. Actually, it's the hospital I went and got all the scans done. It was built in 1913. It's really nice old architecture, and it was designed. Um, it was designed to take into consideration the patients once they had recovered from an operation. Even back in 1913, they knew that it was good for patients to get out of the wards while they were still recovering. So they built this hospital, and it's pretty well spread out. There's a lot of small gardens and benches and things where patients can sit, and ramps where they can take wheelchairs. Um, it's really nice, really nice place. They have a pond, but they've started changing that. I don't know if they're still there, but they had a pond that has fish in it, and um, they've got a they've got a statue. And it's a miniature statue of one that you see in Copenhagen. It's got a little fountain and stuff. It's called the Geffen Fountain. There's a whole story about Geffen as well. I normally talk about that when I go down to the big one. Down beside St Albans Church in Copenhagen. Again, really nice. There's a lot of really nice stuff to see in Copenhagen. The other thing about this hospital is they helped save the lives of over 200 Jews during the Second World War when Denmark was taken over by the Nazis. The Danes helped to hide the Jews, and that hospital in particular, they had Jews hidden in the tunnels. All the buildings are connected by tunnels. That's how they get patients from one ward to another without taking them outside. And they were using them to hide the Jews from the Nazis. And in 1943, the Nazis sent ships here to get the Jews, to take them to the concentration camps. And the Nazis had heard that Jews were being cared for at the hospital. So one morning they woke up at the hospital and all the exits were blocked by Nazis. And they said, "We believe that you have got Jews in here. We want you to hand them over." I think they said I can't remember, but I think it was the next day. They gave them a deadline. So what the hospital did was they had a mass funeral, and they smuggled the Jews out in the procession for the funeral, and all of the Jews escaped. Most of them ended up in Sweden. It was over 200. So a lot of history about the place as well. So that was built in 1913, and then we've got the Little Mermaid statue in Copenhagen. It first appeared in 1913, the same year. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of things about wars that people are interested in. I mean, it's topical now because of Ukraine, but um, yeah, there's more stories and things about the Jews. I actually did all this on Periscope. That's why that's why I know so much. Um, there's a really cool story about how they actually got the Jews from Denmark to Sweden, um, because they took them to a small fishing village called Gillifloy, which is in the north of this island. We're on an island called Zealand, even though this is the capital of Copenhagen. We're not in mainland Denmark. We're on an island, and they took the Jews to Gillifloy, and fishing boats took them to Sweden. The problem was that the Nazis were already patrolling the the harbours and things because they thought that's how the Jews would try and escape. And they had guards and stuff at Gillifloy as well, but they were still managing to smuggle Jews from Gillifloy even after the Nazis had searched the boats. And there's a whole story about that as well. And it's really cool how they managed to do it. The Nazis actually had dogs that they had trained to smell human, even through the scent of fish and dead fish, because they were fishing boats. So the hulls were full of fish and dead fish, and the Nazis didn't want to go down into it looking for people. So they trained dogs that could still smell humans through the smell of fish. And the dogs never found a single person, but they were smuggling them. So I may actually do that. I don't know how I tie that into diamond painting though, but I might do that as a YouTube. It's a really interesting story. There's a lot of stories when I think about it. A lot of different things to talk about. Hans Christian Andersen is buried here. His birth date is actually the same as my sister's, April the 2nd. And then there's Bluetooth. You know, Bluetooth, like you use it to connect your printer to your computer, your phone to whatever. The name Bluetooth came from a Viking king called Harold Bluetooth. There's a whole story about how that came to be as well. I've actually done some of this, not the Gillifloy thing. That was one that I was going to do. Yeah, Harold Bluetooth, that's right. Um, yeah, I was going to do the Gillifloy thing as a live on Periscope, but Periscope closed down, so it never happened. And a lot of people were interested in it because I told the whole story about the hospital. I actually sat at the hospital while I was telling that story, and I had the camera aimed at the psychiatric ward. That's where they were hiding the Jews. And as word got around in Denmark, what was happening at the hospital, people started sending money to the hospital and clothes. Because initially the nurses were giving the Jews their own food, and then people started to send money and clothes. Um, so a lot of people knew about it, and they managed to hide it from the Nazis up to a certain point, because there were Danish sympathisers who were trying to spy for the Nazis and telling them where things were and what was happening and all that sort of stuff. So it was quite hard to keep it a secret, but they managed to do it. Well, up to a point, but they did for a while. And then there's Tivoli, um, second oldest amusement park in the world. A guy called Walt Disney visited it a few times before he built his own place in America. You may have heard of it. I think it's in Florida. Um, yeah, there's stories about the war as well that relate to Tivoli. Really nice place to see. I did a diamond painting of that though, so I can tie that in. They have sort of special events, themes at Christmas, Easter, and Halloween. And I took a picture of the entrance to Tivoli at Halloween with a massive pumpkin in the archway, and I got that converted into a custom diamond painting. So I can tie Tivoli into the diamond painting thing. When they have their Halloween display, they have over 10,000 pumpkins in the place. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's what they did. There was a lot of things about the Danish resistance. Things like the Danes had to build the concrete bunkers for the heavy artillery guns for the Nazis, and what they did was they put sugar in the concrete. So when they made it, it looked like concrete, it felt like concrete, and it wasn't until they fired the big guns they found out it wasn't concrete. The whole thing would just cave in on the guns. So they did that. They sabotaged them. They sabotaged railway lines. There's a place called Forum, which is now a music venue. The Nazis took that over and they were going to make it a barracks for the soldiers. And one morning, a young boy cycled up with a crate of Carlsberg beer, went into the building, came back out without the crate, cycled away. Then there was an explosion that basically destroyed the building, and it was a bomb. They had it looked like a crate of beer, but the bottom half of it was fake. It was a bomb inside the crate, and it looked like bottles of beer sitting on top. Like it looked like bottles of beer, but it was like only the top part of the bottle. The whole thing was a bomb. So he had went in and put it in there, and they blew it up. The Nazis never used it. There's lots of stories about the war that people might not know about. There's a really nice churchyard up here as well. Um, it looks like a botanical gardens. It's really, really nice. But they have a grave. The churchyard is sort of broken into different sections. There's a section for RAF pilots who were killed during the Second World War. Some of them at first, I don't know. I just thought RAF, Royal Air Force, that's British. But when I went and looked at the stones, a lot of them are British, but there's Australians and New Zealand. It's when you look at the ages, like they're like 24. Um, so I'd say 24 is probably the average age. Now that's for a pilot, really young guys. Um, they've got a section for resistance fighters who were shot by the Nazis. Basically, if you were in the resistance and you got caught, you got shot in the head. That was it. There was no getting off with it. So they've got a section of the graveyard that has the the stones of all these people who died trying to defend Denmark, basically. And then they've got a large grave. It's people who helped during the Second World War that came from different countries, and there's even German people there. There's Germans and Poles, and I can't remember, but a lot of names. And then they've got, not related to the war, but they've got like a Russian section, a Japanese section, um, Polish section. I can't remember the rest. But it's a really, really nice place. It's actually very busy at the moment because they have Cherry Tree Avenue, where the trees overlap each other, and at the moment it's just a pink tunnel of cherry blossoms. People come from all over the place to take pictures. It's the only time of year that they have hot dog stands and coffee stands and things inside the cemetery. Or you get in free at Disney. It's pretty cool. Yeah, blossoms are really nice, but they're so fragile and they don't last very long. That's the thing with them. But yeah, they're really nice. And then we've got cherry trees that were donated to Copenhagen uh, by Japan at Langelinia. They sent 150 sakura trees to Copenhagen as a gift on the what was it, Hans Christian Andersen's 150th birthday. They sent 150 trees. So they're all planted down there. Actually, last weekend they had the Sakura Festival. They have that every year, and they have it when the trees are in blossom. So they have Japanese art and music and dance and martial arts and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I'm just starting to remember this because I used to talk about it all the time when I was doing the sort of the walks around Copenhagen. There's actually a story about the Little Mermaid statue as well. The Japanese, for whatever reason, the Japanese are absolutely obsessed with the story of the Little Mermaid. I think every single time I went near the Little Mermaid statue, any time of year. I mean, in the wintertime, Copenhagen is very, very quiet. We don't really have any tourists because the weather's so cold and dark. But I think every time I ever went to the Little Mermaid, and I used to go there and take pictures and stuff, but I would always try and go when it was quiet and early. I think every time I went, I would see at least two or three Japanese people. In the summertime, it's busloads, but they really like the story of the Little Mermaid. So when Japan sent the cherry trees as a return favor or gesture, Copenhagen sent the Little Mermaid statue, like the actual Little Mermaid statue. They they took her on her stone and sent it to Japan so that Japanese people who couldn't afford to come to Denmark could see it. That was the idea. So she was put in a museum. I can't remember where. Um, but then they thought, but if we do this, what happens when tourists come to Copenhagen to see the Little Mermaid statue and she's in Japan? So they thought, okay, what we'll do is we'll get a camera and we'll do a live stream. We'll have the camera on the Little Mermaid statue. We'll put up a big screen where she normally is so that people come, they can still see the statue. So that was it. Good plan. Okay. So they did that. The first time they went live, the screen was black and they thought something's wrong. So they started checking everything. Connections were okay. No picture. Then somebody realised they had forgotten about the time difference. In Japan, it was the middle of the night, and the lights were switched off in the museum. So all they had was a big black screen. So hadn't really thought that one through. There's also a ship in the main canal, a warship that got decommissioned. I think it was in the 1970s because it launched a missile itself. Um, it launched the missile, and the missile hit land in Denmark, and it actually destroyed a few houses. But it was in a sparsely populated area, and it was summer houses. In Denmark, a lot of people have what they call a summer house, and they're typically beside the sea or beside a lake, that sort of thing. So they tend to go there during the summer or at weekends and things, and go for a break and go to the summer house. It landed in an area of summer houses, and I think it destroyed a few. But it was at the wrong time of year, and the summer houses were empty, so nobody was actually hurt. But when they checked what had happened, they found out that the ship, the computer had malfunctioned, and it just launched a missile. It wasn't like anybody's fault. It wasn't as if anybody accidentally hit a button or something. It was just something went wrong in the software, and it launched. So they called that one the "Oops" missile. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's off-season. The Danes really like their summer houses. In the UK, it's the equivalent of having a caravan, and what would you call that in America? Like a trailer. Like, some people have got static caravans, which are in the same place all year round. They're quite big, so they get put in place and then they stay there. They don't move. But a lot of people have mobile caravans. So basically, they hitch it onto the back of the car, and then they'll go somewhere for a few days, and then go somewhere else a few days, and drive around the country, that sort of thing. I don't know if that's a thing in America. I mean, the things that I've seen seem to be more like motorhomes. It's all built in, but the caravans get hitched onto the back of things. Yeah, that's slightly different because that's all one thing, isn't it? It's like a massive truck. But yeah, they're pretty cool, those things. You'd have a lot of problems driving them about in the streets in Copenhagen, though. Quite a lot of American cars over here. The Danes like to collect classic American cars. I'm actually starting to see them now that the weather's getting better. This is what happens. They disappear in the wintertime, probably sit in a garage somewhere. Once the spring comes and the sun comes out, you start to see all these old classic cars coming out. It's pretty cool. They have car shows and stuff as well that I've been to. It's nice to see old cars in perfect condition. Yeah, fancy bus. Yeah. So it looks like I have finally fixed the problem. I take it there hasn't been any glitching or pausing or lack of sound or anything. Ah, okay, good. Because I was beginning to get to the point of just not mentioning doing lives in the videos, because normally in the videos I'll mention at the end that I do random lives, but I was starting to get to the point that I don't really want people coming in because if it just keeps pausing and crashing, I mean, some of the people that are in here or were in here know about it. It's very frustrating for me and frustrating for them as well. I don't like the feeling that I'm wasting people's time, that they come in and they spend half the time watching a frozen picture or no sound or that sort of thing. And it's a waste of my time as well. I'm good on the TV and on the computer. That's nice to know. Thank you. So I just need to use my hotspot when I'm doing the lives, and everything should be fine. Um, I might actually. What day is this? Tuesday. I'm thinking I should be okay by the weekend to go out for a little walk. I might go out and do a quick live, maybe. And then people can always watch the replay, but it would give you an idea of the sort of thing that I would like to do. But I would prefer to do it when people are in. Because sometimes people would ask questions, just, I don't know. Like I would be walking down the street and I'd be walking past something and somebody would say, "What was that on your right hand side?" And I'd be like, "What?" And I would turn and they'd say, "To your right a bit, that, what is that?" And I would go over and look at it and then tell them what it was or try and figure out what it was. So a lot of random things, that's what I liked as well. I like it's like doing this. I'm never sure what anybody's going to talk about. Sometimes we talk about diamond painting, but a lot of times we talk about random stuff, and I like that. I like just the total randomness of things. Like I never know what I'm going to be talking about. I just think it makes it more interesting. And the fact that I'm answering direct questions, I'm talking about something that somebody is interested in, rather than recording it and trying to guess what people might be interested in. It's that sort of thing I like. That's what makes the live stuff unique. I might actually go and do a one at the hospital, thinking about it, and just let you see the hospital. I mean, they're building a whole new section, which is a bit annoying. But the old part is they're not going to touch, obviously, because it's so old and the history behind it. Um, yeah, I might do that. I'm thinking Sunday, but again, I tend to do it them early in the morning when it's nice and quiet. Um, if I go over to the cemetery, the main cemetery, there's a lot to see there, and they have red squirrels. Usually, I manage to find some red squirrels, not always, but it's a nice place to walk. I don't know what the weather's meant to be like on Sunday though, but I might do it. Yeah, I might. I mean, again, I don't know how many people are interested, but it's not as if I'm doing it to try and get a lot of people. It's the idea is doing it and getting the people who are interested in whatever it is. I mean, some people might only be interested in diamond painting and all they want to see is unboxings and what kits are like from different companies and stuff, and they're not the least bit interested in an old hospital in Copenhagen, which I understand. I mean, we've all got different interests, but I think some people would be interested just seeing it, and I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in lots of things. The hubbub is never over. It's just that I think Sundays for most people is the day that they might have time. Obviously, during the week, people are working. People tend to be busy on Saturdays. People try and relax a bit on the Sundays. So I don't know. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'll need to think about that. Try and figure out a time. I mean, do you think 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning's too early? Do you think 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning would be a better time? Which would be, I'm working on this 6 hour thing because that's what I used to do in Periscope. It was the same. The vast majority of people who came in lived in America. So I would sort of try and aim it at times that suited them, but also suited other people as much as possible. Australia is a nightmare because they're like, what, 12-hour difference. Sorry, Nikki, if you're watching the replay. Nikki watches the replays. She's in Australia. How many new releases? Did I read something like 50 new releases are coming up? I mean, there's been a lot of new ones coming out recently. It just seems to be constant. Something new is appearing, which isn't bad. I mean, I'm really impressed with their new drills. This Batman is going to look really cool. Yeah, 50. Yeah, see, that's the thing, Gene. Watching on the replay isn't the same. I mean, yeah, it would be good to see, but I always feel it's better to actually be there when it's live, especially if you're the type of person that joins in, like you would. Um, because sometimes I would get, I don't know, 50 people watching, but maybe 2 people would comment. And those 2 people would be the people that over time that I got to know really well. Um, I did a live stream in Sweden one time at an old cathedral that was built in, uh, no, having to remember. I think it was 1085 it was built. And I got, trying to remember, 32,500 views. That was crazy, that one. It's just impossible when you have so many people. It's impossible to keep up with comments and stuff. It's actually quite good when you've only got a few people commenting, because then you can sort of follow a thread with a conversation and nobody feels like they're getting left out. Yeah, it was Lund Cathedral, Lund. I'm thinking 1085. Vaguely ring. It was a few. It was, I'm trying to remember. Must have been about 4 or 5 years ago. It was a long time ago. but that got a lot of interest. And I went into the cathedral live streaming and went down into the crypt, which I thought I'm going to lose a signal as soon as I go in here because it's all this really thick old stone. But I got a perfect signal. So I was down in the crypt showing all these stones that people were buried under and stuff. And if nothing else, I can show people the bicycles in Copenhagen. It's definitely something to see. We've got a network of bicycle lanes all over the place. They've got traffic lights for cyclists. I think there's over 3 million bicycles in Copenhagen. And some really weird and wonderful ones. And they've got a bicycle counter on Hans Christian Andersen Boulevard that counts how many cyclists pass it every day. And they have a total for each year. Like it keeps a total. So it resets, like it counts how many that day and then resets to 0, but it keeps an overall total at the bottom. So you can see, like anytime you go, how many cyclists have passed that point so far this year. That's quite cool. And then, as I said, you've got the canals. You've got canal trips. I've live streamed them a few times. Whoops. Just go on the canal boat and then just sit back and live stream. We live in one of the most dangerous places in the country for pedestrians and cyclists. That doesn't sound too good. We live in I think Denmark is the second happiest country in the world. I think Finland took the title, but Denmark has been voted the happiest country in the world quite a few times. I don't know if that's because you can legally buy beer when you're 16 in Denmark. That would make a lot of people happy. So when you're 16 in Denmark, you can go to the local supermarket, wherever, buy a beer and open the beer and drink it as you walk down the street, and you're not breaking any laws. Too cold, yeah. Yeah, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people do complain about the lack of sunshine. People complain about how cold it is, but it's Denmark. That's like me complaining that Vegas is too hot in August, which is when I went to Vegas, the only place I've ever been in America. I went to Canada for a month and I ended up in Vegas at one point because I got talked into going, and it was August, and it was crazy. I don't like the heat at the best of times. Vegas in summertime is just like walking into a furnace. Unbelievable. So I won't be going back. Still, I got to see the Grand Canyon, and that is the most impressive thing I've seen in my life. It was really cool to see it. Um, Before I forget, I don't know if people know that I've got a website. I'm just thinking about the Copenhagen stuff. If you're interested in the Copenhagen stuff, I've also got blogs that I've done. I've got some Hans Christian Andersen stories and things. The story about Bluetooth there's quite a few things in there. I can't remember how many blogs I've done. Or not blogs, podcasts. Yeah, it was far, far too hot. But if you're interested in seeing pictures of Copenhagen, and there's a lot of stuff on that website, like a lot of stuff, but the podcast might be of interest. Talking about the Great Fire of Copenhagen. And then they had the second Great Fire of Copenhagen. That's why most of old Copenhagen no longer exists. The Danes and matches did not mix. That's the website, iccopenhagen.com. You'll get quite a lot of pictures and things. Some of the stuff that I've been talking about, the plan was to eventually read all of Hans Christian Andersen's stories. I think it's something like 163 stories, and I'm doing them in chronological order. So basically, the first one he wrote first, and then the next one, then the next one. I think I've only done one that is famous so far, but they're all good. I mean, they're all quite morbid at times, because you always think Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales and children's stories, which I think they are, but they can be pretty gruesome at times. You're welcome, Don. Get back to me and let me know, like, if you listen or if you look at the website, just let me know what you think, if anything caught your attention. I'd be interested in a bit of feedback. But there is a lot to it. If you go to the extras section, there's a lot. I'm trying to think everything that's in it. There's a music section. When I did Periscope, I got to know a lot of musicians, mainly in America, because they would do live streams and play music, like busking and that sort of thing. So I got to know a lot of musicians, and I bought CDs off them, and then I uploaded them. And I've got a music section where you can see the artists' names. I've got the album cover, and you can listen to 10 seconds of each track. And then I've got the social media links to that particular artist. If you're interested, you can go and like look at other stuff and maybe but actually buy something, which is always helpful to struggling musicians. But they're all unsigned artists, and the idea was just to try and help get their name out there, type thing. Yeah, no problem, Gene. I mean, anybody can email me at any time. Different keyboard. Diamondpaintinggym@gmail.com if you just want to get in touch for whatever reason. To find out what I'm up to next, even though I don't know myself. I do tend to have a lot of ideas. That's why the website sort of exploded. I started it with the idea of just pictures of Copenhagen and maybe a little bit of history about different things, and then I started the music section. Then I started Tammy's Kitchen, My wife would cook, and we started doing a thing where she would cook a Danish dish one time, and then the next time it would be something of her own, then a Danish dish and that sort of thing. And we had the same people come in, had a good laugh about that, and people would try and make the stuff that she was making, like traditional Danish stuff like frikadelle, which are Danish meatballs. Um, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've actually even looked at the website. I've been so busy with the diamond painting. But the plan eventually is to expand. I set up a diamond painting gym section on that website, but I haven't really done anything with it. So the plan is to eventually expand that, but that's going to take a long time. In fact, it might never happen. I'm quite happy doing the YouTube. I tend to stick to one thing. It was like Periscope. That was all I did. People said to me a long time ago, "You should start a YouTube channel for IC Copenhagen," and I did, but I never really did anything with it. I've got a slow motion video of the sea when it was frozen between Denmark and Sweden, and the frozen lakes in Copenhagen, but I never really took off with that. I was more interested in doing the live streams than anything else. But since I started diamond painting, I'm really focused on this. If I'm not diamond painting, I'm thinking about things to do videos about. So I can't do everything. So I concentrate on YouTube. That's my main thing. YouTube Live is the sort of natural next step. But trying to keep it tied into diamond painting is not going to be easy. But rather than doing videos for the IC Copenhagen thing about Copenhagen and then doing videos for YouTube for like diamond painting, I don't really want to split everything like that. I mean, the Copenhagen walks could just become part of the lives for diamond painting gym. I mean, as people get to know me, I think a lot of people would be interested in Copenhagen. So I would rather keep it all under the one thing instead of having it in two places. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what you actually meant there, Gene, and I can't. It eyed who you are. It is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I might just start doing the occasional YouTube video about Copenhagen under diamond painting gym. And the people who are interested will watch, and the people who aren't won't, and that's fine. Um, Don, if you do go to the website and you do go to the podcasts, the intro and outro music, that was actually written for me by a musician in Sweden. She's in the musicians section. Her name is Emmy Rich. She started playing piano when she was 3. I used to Periscope a lot and watch her stuff, and she would watch me. And I told her that I had this new hobby, and I was thinking about, um, no, yeah, the website. I was telling her I was thinking about starting a new section on the website for podcasts, which I'd never done before. And I said the main thing that I'm thinking about is Hans Christian Andersen's stories. I think it's 163 stories, but I said I don't want to be just basically the guy that does Hans Christian Andersen stories. So what I was doing was Hans Christian Andersen one episode, then something else to do with Denmark the next, then Hans Christian Andersen, then something else, then Hans Christian Andersen. And that's the way that I was working it. And she said, "Oh," she said, "that sounds really good." She said, "I could write you some music for the intro and the outro." So that's what she did. So that was really cool because you've got this thing like music, copyright, and things. So the fact that Emmy wrote it for the podcast, because she said when she wrote it, she was just thinking about Hans Christian Andersen, fairy tales. That was the thoughts that she was thinking about. And then she just started playing something and then she came up with that. So it was really cool. And if I don't know if you're interested in music, but I've got the music section again. I've got a thing called featured artists where I got in touch with them and asked them like a bit of background about how they got into music and asked them if there was a funny story. I mean, any musician that plays for the public in a pub, club, wherever, has got funny stories of things that went wrong, whatever things that happened. So Emmy's in there. A guy called Phil Luna. He's in Texas. Um, his story is the best. That's all I'll say. So if you're interested in having a bit of a laugh and listening to music, Phil is really, really good. Um, if you go to the featured artist section and find Phil Luna, his story you couldn't make it up. It was really funny. And then you've got Jerris Cook again, great guy. He's really picking up on Instagram just now. He seems to be everywhere. His story's really funny as well. When he was in a boy. This was a long time ago, but he was in a boy band, and they got a gig at some venue. It was some sort of um, what do you call it? Like where different groups go. Like it's not just like one band or two. It was like some event thing in a field type stuff. And Jerry's boy band went, and the music that everybody else was playing was anything but boy band. That never went very well, but it was a funny story. I'm sure it wasn't funny at the time, but it was a funny story. Yeah, I mean, basically just browse, but I'm just trying to point out things that I think you might be interested in. But if you're interested in music, there's a lot of good musicians. Claire Means, she is really good. Don't have any funny stories from her, but she is really, really good. And then I've got Perry Bear, which was a little teddy bear that I bought from one of the tourist shops in Copenhagen. And the idea was to send him around the world to meet other periscopers. So he's been a few places in America, Israel. I can't even remember. The last place that he ended up was Long Island. That's where he is now. I was keeping track of where he was and how many miles he had done. So his periscope sort of disappeared. That all stopped. But I can still get in touch with the person who's got him. I was thinking about maybe doing something and transferring them from the periscope people to the diamond painting people and sending them off to other diamond painters around the world, and they could take a picture of them round about where they live. That was the whole point. So you'll find a section called Perry Bear, um, and you'll see a few of the musicians with Perry Bear. He went to the Israel one is a company that makes high level guitars, and they had pictures of him. in the factory beside all these guitars that were getting built and stuff. He went to an ice cream factory in Arkansas. Got pictures of him there. I can't remember where Phil took him. Phil had some really cool pictures. I can't remember where it was. No, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've actually looked at this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just an idea, but like I said, I have a lot of ideas. I have ideas all the time of things to do, and I did start writing stuff down because I think of so many different things, and then I forget. Okay, Gene, thanks for dropping in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, there is a lot. The Hans Christian Andersen stories, the very first one, the Tinderbox, I thought that was a pretty cool story. And there's one called Big Klaus and Little Klaus. That was quite funny. Kind of morbid at times, but it was a good story. I was really surprised that I'd never heard any of the two of them before. I think the only famous one that I've done so far, I think, was The Princess and the Pea. I think. Still haven't got to his most famous stories yet. But basically, extras is where all to me, the main stuff is, but it isn't necessarily related to Copenhagen. Like the music. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be on much longer. I mean, I'm pretty happy now that it's working. I've been on for nearly an hour and 40 minutes. No glitches at all. So it looks like it's been our internet connection. Some issue somewhere. It just does not like me doing lives. But I'm glad I found a way around it. The thing is, the connection speed, the upload and download speeds from this hotspot are less than half what we get on our home network. Yeah, every time I try and do a live, the connection just drops. Yeah, I'm just going to, the usual, I'm just going to finish this and then that'll be it. Yeah, I don't know. We're actually changing providers next month, I think. So we'll see if that makes a difference. But when I do a speed test, normally do the speed test, it's as far as the needle can go on the little meter. It's like really fast. But when I'm doing a live stream and I start getting this poor connection thing comes up and I check it, I can't remember what the second one is, upload or download, but the second one was not 0.1 megabits a second. It's normally, I forget, 185, some not 0.1. No wonder YouTube can't run. As soon as I close down YouTube, run the test again, it's back up to full speed. That's why I was thinking it was something to do with YouTube, but YouTube have been looking at it for a while and they can't figure out what's wrong. So I think it is actually at our end. Yeah, I saw 15 new ones. It's crazy. Nancy must have won the lottery. She's going to be buying 50 Diamond Dark Club diamond paintings. I mean, if Elon Musk was a diamond painter, he'd be skint. He'd have no money by now. I know. That's crazy. See, that's what happens. If you don't diamond paint and save your pennies, you could be like Elon Musk. Yeah. Yeah, what's going to happen to Twitter? Anyway, I said I was going to go when I finished that, and I have finished that. So thanks. Thanks for dropping in, and big thanks for the conversation. It makes a huge difference to me when people actually talk. So I hope you enjoyed it. And now that I know I've got a good connection when I use my hotspot, I'll be doing these more regularly. And if you have a look at the website, Dawn, let me know what you think of the podcasts and all that stuff. So that's it for today. In the meantime, take care, be safe, and wash your hands.